All right. Hello, everybody. We'll let everybody get in and get their audio set up. But thank you so much for joining us. We are here today with some wonderful folks, and we're going to be chatting with them, getting some questions that you guys have answered, and just making sure you know what App Academy is like and what to expect and all of that fun stuff. So we're going to have our lovely panelists here introduce themselves, go for it. What's your name? What's kind of your relation to App Academy? Did you go there? Do you work there? And how long how long ago was it, and how long have you been there? Let's start with Paul here. Go for it.
Of course, my name is Paul Magioncalada. I am now a solution engineer at MuleSoft, but my journey started at App Academy in March 2020. I graduated in July. It took me about a year to find a job, and it was an incredible experience to say the least.
Awesome. Anne-Marie.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Russo. I am a career coach here at App Academy in San Francisco. I have over 15 years experience in adult education, 5 of those being in coaching adults. And I'm really excited to talk to you about the job search portion of the App Academy experience.
Awesome. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started with some questions. As we are going through, if any of you who are joining us today have questions that you'd like to ask our panelists, we have a Slido link that'll take you directly to where you can ask some questions. So don't post anything in the Zoom chat. We're going to take questions directly from the Slido as they come up. So that's where you want to post your questions as we're going along. But to start off with, let's take it from the very beginning of the App Academy experience. Paul, tell us a little bit about what was it like getting into App Academy? Did you have a degree beforehand? What was kind of your experience coming in?
Absolutely. So no degree, no college experience, complete non-traditional background. Following high school, I really didn't know what I want to do, right? I feel like a lot of people may be going through that. And I chose financial security before pursuing education further. And eventually I got to a point in my life where my finances no longer aligned with my priorities in life. I wanted to do something that was more purposeful, more meaningful to me. And after a lot of sleepless nights soul searching, I think it was when I watched The Social Network one night real late, and I said, maybe this coding thing click. I always had this childhood lore to, coding and the Matrix and all that hackery stuff, right? So I did a couple Google searches and I found App Academy. And from there, I started playing around on Code Wars, LeetCode, Udemy, things of that, self-taught courses, and I just fell in love. I was spending 4 or 5 hours just kind of playing around, and you'd look up and it was crazy how much time went by. And then after about a year, I did the Jumpstart course, which App Academy, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but that was an incredible experience to really get a bit acclimated to the course lifestyle in which you'll be experiencing. And then I put the application in. I believe it started with a small coding challenge, very, very light work, and then a couple more serious ones, the behavioral, and it was all prepping you for the course workload, which was really cool. So that was really that. And then I got into App Academy about a year after I started this journey. So from the day I started App Academy to the day I started coding, 1 year.
Awesome. And what made you decide that App Academy was the right fit? Did you do like research on other boot camps, or was this just like the first one that popped up that you wanted? Tell me about that.
Of course, I definitely checked out all of the boot camps, but as far as credentials, I am fairly certain that App Academy is considered the most elite boot camp in the country on both coasts, well, in San Francisco and in New York. And if I wanted to do it, coming from a non-traditional background, especially, I didn't want to go to a less known boot camp. I wanted the cream of the crop, the best one there was, the hardest one, and that is definitely App Academy.
Awesome. And so speaking of that, tell me a little bit about what the course was like on a day-to-day. What does your day look like?
Absolutely. So the phrase boot camp is not to be taken lightly. It is a fully immersive experience that leaves little room for other things in your life for that time, for those 16 weeks when you're doing the full coursework. A typical day would start at 9 a.m. You would do a stand up, take attendance, things of that nature. You would jump into a little project. I think we did HTML and CSS for like the first 30 minutes of the day, just a little tease, to get that out of the way. And then we would jump right into lecture. Lecture would be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, depending on the day. We would then take an hour lunch. We would come back and we'd finish up the day pair programming. And then at the end of the day, we would have what we call circle time, which is, just a hangout conclusion, talk about whatever we went over the day. If you had any questions, go over any topics that may still, be leaving some lingering issues with. And that was really it. That was the average day. Following that, you then have about 4 hours of study time, maybe more, depending on the coursework, preparing for the next day's materials, making sure you're solid on that day's materials. And like I said, anything else that you may have. So an average day is truly, 12 to 15 hours, no exaggeration.
And so that sounds really stressful. What are some ways that you kind of worked to combat that stress or to manage it? Or how did you manage your time to make that not go crazy?
Yes. So that's definitely important, right? This is draining mentally, physically, emotionally, right? So you have to make sure you are in a perfect headspace for this program. There can be nothing, in the way. Nothing's going to get you jammed up or have difficulty focusing, right? Things that I did to, kind of keep my mind, take my mind away from the program, but while still staying focused, just take walks. Unfortunately, my cohort was during the lockdowns here in New York. So we were a bit isolated, which made things a little bit more difficult. But I would take walks. I would walk up to a little park, just get outside. Meditation is also great. I think App Academy was promoting Headspace at the time, which was super helpful to just do some breathing exercises and try to take your mind off things without, letting loose too much.
Awesome. And so in the course itself, you said there is a lecture period, there's time with your instructional assistants to, circle time. What were the instructors like? Like, what did you think of them? How was your learning experience with them?
Of course. So some of the instructors were previous App Academy alumni, which meant they had great insights into the program, right? They had either recently graduated or had done the program a couple of years ago. And they are just the brightest of the people, very helpful, willing to get on Zoom with you whenever they needed to, willing to hop on a call, willing to jump in and explain things on the ground level. And they're always there for you. That's it really is somewhat of a family-like experience, right? You spend a lot of time with all these people, the instructors and the alumni. You get to know everyone very well. And you really do become a close-knit group. So the instructors were incredible. And I wouldn't be here without them. That's absolutely true.
Good to hear. And then what was the pairing experience like? So I know you mentioned part of your day was doing pair programming. What was that like? Like, what did it look like? Did you enjoy it? Do you feel like it relates at all to anything that you do now?
Absolutely. Pair programming is one of the more special parts of the course. You really get to build with others. I mean, it's difficult to explain that bond that you create, right? Like you're working on these extremely stressful problems, right? And you're going back and forth, sometimes taking hours, to figure things out, especially with recursion. I remember that was a tough one for everybody. But when you have that aha moment, when it clicks, the camaraderie and the team building is just incredible. And you get really close with your peers. You bounce back and forth. One person will code, one person will give high level instructions out loud. And again, it's just, it really helps you solidify your knowledge of coding. When you have to say things out loud, when you have to give high level instructions, it helps you, speak out the problems and they kind of just flow off your tongue after the first few weeks. That was one of my favorite parts. It gives you like a little bit of time on your own. It's less, intense, right? Just you and one other partner. So I really enjoyed it. And it definitely helped me a lot, just to solidify, what we could do as a team.
Awesome. And then let's get into it. Anne-Marie, kind of talk a little bit. You are a career coach at App Academy. When someone transitions, they've finished the program, the 16 weeks, what happens next? What happens with you?
Good question. It's an immediate transition. So one thing to keep in mind is there's no break. You have that weekend that you graduate, and that next following Monday, you are part of a 2-week sprint. This would be for campus hybrid in San Francisco or New York, but online has that same idea. And what that means is you'll have time, you'll be going right into study hall and working on finishing up and polishing your projects. The goal is in this 2-week sprint that you are not only polishing your projects, but and being greenlit to start the job search, but also all of the other materials like your resume, your cover letter, your online profiles like LinkedIn. Those are all the things that the career coaches are going to be looking at to make sure that you're ready to start the job search. After which, typically everybody's pretty much done. I don't know about Paul, how long it took you after the program to really get your projects looking sharp. Do you remember?
For me, I had a unique experience. One of our members was removed from the program for plagiarism, so I had to recomplete my MERN stack project. But for most people, it takes about 2 weeks to really iron out the finer details, up to 4 though. But for me, like I said, I did have that unique experience of having to build a MERN by myself. But yeah, I would say most people take about 3 to 4 weeks.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So things, monkey wrenches come in, fly into place.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
typically you will be transitioning over to your career coach, takes the reins, the torch from the instructors. We start getting you prepped for the job search. Some people are ready to go right away. Pretty rare, but they've got everything done and in place. They can start the job search right away. After which then you start a rigorous job search program. And that is about 40 hours a week of job search. That entails the first couple of months or first month, 25 applications a week. You'll also be participating in workshops for both your technical and behavioral skills. So they would be doing mock interviews, networking. We have some great partnerships that come in, employers that come in and talk about their companies. And all during that time, you are balancing your job search with the continuation of the studying, data structures and algorithms, reviewing your projects, React, JavaScript, pairboarding. We have all of these things that you're going to be doing within that 40-hour-a-week time. So we consider it a full-time job until you have found a job. Yeah.
Awesome. And Paul, for you, how many applications did you end up sending out before you got that job?
700 approximately.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not bad.
Yeah. The pandemic didn't help, right? When we graduated, we were in the height of this. So I'd say for the average person, it'd probably take maybe 6 months and a few hundred applications less. But no rest for the weary.
Yeah. Yeah. I think super important to say that it's a journey. Yes, you want to get to the destination, but people think, we're going to place them in jobs. You place yourself in a job. We get you there. We give you the tools. So if you are dedicated and you're following the program, it works. But, we expect you to bring it to the table, to show, a lot of accountability, and participate, and you will get there. We have a range. We had somebody who got a job after 47 applications. I was surprised, but he got it. And then we have somebody put in 1,200, and it had nothing to do with really their ability, but it had a lot to do with their persistence and how well they managed their time. I can tell you that much.
Speaking of, Paul, I'm sure with 700 applications, that included a lot of rejections.
Yes.
How did you handle those? What was that like? Did you kind of regroup and say, okay, I just gotta keep going? Or were there times where it was difficult? What was that like?
Absolutely. You have to be prepared for it. It's a little daunting in the beginning, right? Like this daily rejection lifestyle, you're so excited to get in this job search, get going. And it really is rejection after rejection. So you just have to be mentally tough, and you have to find ways to take a look at things with fresh eyes, right? You're going to get burnt out quickly. I mean, this is draining. This is draining work, filling out all these applications. When you get to clicking 40 applications a week, it is a lot. So you have to have it planned out. For me, it meant, doing a bulk of those applications Monday morning, first thing in the morning, Tuesday, trying to, get whatever else I had to do in, and then automating my outreach for the cold calling. I mean, not cold calling, cold emails and things like that. I used WeConnect. I suggest everybody to check that out if they make it and utilize their job search. It allowed me to send custom emails to recruiters all over the city, and it really automated a lot of the networking and outreach, which was huge. I don't think I would have got the job without it.
Is that,
like I said,
you said We Connect?
We Connect, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's like Phantom Buster, kind of same idea.
I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, you create like automated messages that were, unique, and you could, change how they're sent out, and they, they send them out, right? So you can send up to like 7 messages. So you're going to get recruiters on the phone, you're going to get their ear, you're going to get the calls, you're going to get the Zoom meetings. And then it's just up to you to deliver.
That's interesting. Anne-Marie, what kind of like different tools do you guys use right now? Like what kind, like, I know that you use a lot of systems. How does that help the students in the application process getting jobs?
Yeah, we have a system called Hunter, Huntr. That is a place for you to manage your application. So it's an application tracking flow chart. It shows us all the applications that you've done and what stages you are in with those applications. It's also you can, if you'd like, use it as also a task management system. Like, okay, I've got to do pair boarding this week. I have to do a mock interview. I have to study React. All of those things you can be using within Hunter, but that's the accountability system. That's where we, as coaches, can go in and see your daily, weekly, monthly activity over time. What's great about it is that it gives us data. So for example, if I see that Paul has done 10 coding challenges for companies and he hasn't gotten to the next phase, I can see that. And I can say, okay, we need to start looking at how you're doing these coding challenges, connect you with a tech coach, get you doing mock interviews over and over again until you get over that hump. So it's really important that we use that as an accountability tool. We use Slack as the greatest tool in the world, in my opinion, to keep in touch and communicate on a daily basis with our caseload. We also have a lot of resources. We have a placements repo where we put in all of our resources for the types of job boards, the types of workshops we've had in the past, all of the technical resources you need to be studying, as well as the behavioral, which is the soft skills resources, and then tricks of the trade, like as he said, We Connect, all these tricks that we have for you to get in front of recruiters and employers and expand your network. So yeah, lots of great stuff.
Awesome. And then Paul, I'm not sure if I think you mentioned this at the beginning. You're working with MuleSoft, right?
That is correct.
And so how did you eventually get that job? Like what was the time frame, and when did that happen, and how did that happen?
So it was about 1 week less than a year from the day that I graduated that I got that. And it came through networking. You will find that once you are in your job search, a lot of people are in the tech industry, right? A lot of people that or you meet or you come across, you're going to say, hey, I just graduated from App Academy. And they're like, oh, really? I work at so-and-so company. And this is huge. The networking aspect on the ground level, getting referrals, that will really take you to the next level. So I do hobbyist photography in New York City, and actually met a gentleman doing a photo shoot for his wife and his 2 daughters. And while they were in the bathroom getting changed in fresh outfits, he says, hey, what are you doing for a living? I explained to him my time at App Academy. He says, oh, that's interesting. I work in tech as well. And he has the perfect role in mind for me. He put a referral in. You will get a lot of referrals. People will tell you, oh, I'm going to refer you. I can help. You don't know what's going to happen, right? But don't take it lightly. Put the smile on, try to deliver. And he put the referral in, and, about 10 interviews later, and a ton of hard work, I had to do a presentation on API-led connectivity, about 45 minutes. And then finally, about 6 weeks later, I had my first role in tech. So very, very interesting journey, but very gratifying, very humbling experience.
Awesome. And then, what is your position now? Like, what do you do now physically on your day-to-day basis working with MuleSoft?
Of course. So I am what they call an Academy Solution Engineer. So basically, I'm learning, prerequisite to being a principal solution engineer. And their onboarding experience is pretty incredible. It is a 6-month journey, and they have it mapped out completely. So you know exactly what you need to do every step of the way for the first 4 weeks. and then for the months, all the way up to 6 months when you really start to get into the field. So a regular day for me right now, I'm waking up about 8:30, start at 9. You start your own schedule. So being a self-starter is very important, and you will learn that in your time at App Academy, especially if you end up in a remote role. You got to get the ball rolling. So 9 a.m. I will usually jump on and knock out any of our what it's called Astro course tracker, which are just like like maybe an hour, 45-minute light learning. We just acquired Slack, so we had hands-on training on Slack. Everybody needs to know how to use it. You'll use it in App Academy if you get in. So that was really cool. Another thing App Academy prepared me to use in real life. So I'll knock out any like little silly trainings. And now I'm currently studying for a fundamental certification. So I'll spend a few hours doing that. And then I'll spend the second half of the day after lunch doing like whiteboarding exercises. Right now, I have to create an architectural reframe on why API-led connectivity is the approach for industries in finance and banking to use to kind of modernize their legacy systems and get them out of the dinosaur era of their applications, which we see with a lot of these old financial companies that have been around a long time. And that's really it. Anything else that pops up during the day, maybe we have a call or two. But that's it. I am full Academy onboarding. And it's on you. You have your journey. You know what you need to do. There's nobody watching over your shoulder. So you got to get it done. You got to get it done on time, and you got to be working hard.
Wonderful. What was the biggest thing that you took away from App Academy that you felt helped you prepare for this position? Was there anything in the curriculum or anything in just like the cadence of how stressful and intense it was? What specifically was something that you learned from it that you pulled directly for this position?
Absolutely. App Academy taught me above everything else technically that I was capable of doing anything that I put in my mind to. Throughout this course, you will have imposter syndrome. When you get to your job, you will have imposter syndrome. But you will learn slowly that you belong in the room and you have earned the right to be in the room. So, in App Academy, having a non-traditional background, right? No college experience. There are kids there from Harvard, Columbia, Princeton, and it is a bit intimidating for me. But then quickly you learn that you belong there, right? You've worked hard, you know the material, and you belong in the room. So I would just say resiliency. Resiliency is the number one thing that I left App Academy with, knowing that, anything that comes across my plate, I'm going to be able to figure it out. I might not know how to do it today, but in a week from now, and 150 Google searches later and 150 Stack Overflows, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to know how to do it. And when that aha moment hits, it's very fulfilling.
Wonderful. All right. Any advice? So in general, Anne-Marie, any advice, for students who are interested in the program and might want to apply, anything that you last words that you want to just kind of give them that's important from your perspective?
Yes, thanks for asking that. I think it's important to understand that the journey doesn't end after you finish the curriculum. That the journey, it's just this is chapter 2 awaits right around the corner, which is the job search, which is a different kind of stress. And I don't mean stress like negative, because we can all, if we know how to handle stress, it can be something that motivates us to move forward. But let's just say it is not, you're in an incubator of doing a lot that you don't normally handle in a normal atmosphere. I'm sure Paul can say that he doesn't work as hard as he did, right?
Absolutely not.
Right? Right? You're putting in an 8-hour day. Typically, you don't have these constant time constraints and requirements that you need to fulfill that are extraordinary. And so the advice that I would give is to be aware that that's going to happen and to prepare yourself for that. Set yourself up for success. What does your environment look like? What kind of commitments do you have that you'll need to maybe compromise and sacrifice while you're in the program, and to kind of alleviate as many external stressors as you can, because you're already going to have these other stressors that could make or break your success here.
Absolutely. Just to elaborate on that, no distractions, right? You need to have your finances in order. You need to have your meals planned. You need to know how no joke, you need to figure out how you're going to eat and eat healthy. So you're staying, mentally focused and your acuity is right. toxic relationships, right? Like if you have, maybe a stressful relationship with a girlfriend, that might, come into fruition throughout the course, right? So you need a great support system. You have to have good habits. You have to make sure your finances are in order, because there can be absolutely no distractions throughout this course.
Mm-hmm. That's why they call it a boot camp, folks.
Absolutely. Not to be taken lightly. Not to be taken lightly.
All right. And then Paul, any other advice or any last advice for folks who are thinking about software engineering, thinking about a boot camp, anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say take as many courses as you can before. Get on Udemy. The courses are like $9. You can learn React. You can fickle through a lot of this material, and really get yourself prepared. Know what you're going to be learning, right? You don't want to get to week 6 and you're learning React, and it's the first time you've ever heard about React. As someone who had only coded about a year, there was definitely things I was unfamiliar with throughout the course. And it weighed on me heavily. So going back in retrospect, one thing I would have done is just take a refresher, right? Know everything that's going to be in this course and read up on it. Know the vocabulary words, know the trigger words, know what you're going to be learning, have some sort of familiarity, so it's not a brand new material. They use the phrase drinking from a fire hose in terms of absorbing this material, and that is not an exaggeration. So as much as you can absorb before the course starts, I think it's super important.
Awesome. And we do have a couple of questions here from the Slido. Paul, you mentioned you took some classes before you started the boot camp. Which
Absolutely.
courses helped you the most? And it sounds like there's some that you feel like you might recommend to folks as well.
Absolutely. There's an incredible React course, React Redux course on Udemy that is huge, that helped me not only throughout the course, post the course, on my projects. And I also suggest get on Code Wars. If you're not on Code Wars right now, get on there, check out the site, start building your kata, and just get busy. The problems are super fun, super easy. Even if you're just knocking out a couple of them on a nightly basis, it will build what you need for this course. And then you'll see that if you do the Jump Start program, the problems are very similar, similar problem solving structure, and they have many levels. So from a ground level to very advanced, it will guide you all the way throughout your course as you level up.
Great advice. And one more question for you too, Paul. The student says I have a non-technical career background. Will this hinder me in my job search? How will I communicate my past professional experience? And I think both of you could talk to this. So Paul, first, how you explain a little bit, and maybe this person missed it, but you don't have a technical background, right?
I do not. So following high school, I did 10 years of heavy road construction in local 1298 labor union. So you do not need to have a technical background at all to do this. If you want to be in tech, if you put the work in, if you put the time in, if you want to study, you do not need to go to college for 4 years to do so. And I'm living proof of that. In 4 months, I was able to triple my salary. In 4 months of classes, I was able to triple my salary. In a year, I was in a position where I was working full-time at one of the biggest tech companies. I think MuleSoft is, they're a division of Salesforce, which is a Fortune 500 company. And if you told me that I would be doing this 2 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. Anybody can do it, any background. It's on you, right? Like you don't need to go to school for 4 years to learn how to code. You can do it on your own time in your living room with your socks on, right? And it'll change your life. So I highly recommend it to anybody looking. It only takes a couple hours a night. Open Code Wars, watch some YouTube videos, follow some people on Instagram, some of the coders. There's a lot of really cool people out there promoting technical careers, and know that you don't need the background. When I got into the room, it was me who sold myself. My ability to articulate, put a smile on, communicate. There's a lot of interpersonal and soft skills that you can relate to that people want. They want that on their team. They want a good culture. And some of that will be more important than your background. I think especially in terms of diversity and inclusion, companies are looking for people with non-traditional backgrounds. They want varying perspectives from everyone who can offer it. And I am a prime example of that, certainly.
And Anne-Marie, I'm sure you probably have some experience as well. Folks who don't have a technical background beforehand, how do you recommend that they sell themselves when they are in the job search?
That's where the career coaches come in. We have the technical coaches and the behavioral coaches. I'm a behavioral coach, which, as Paul said, soft skills. So most of you were not born yesterday. That means that you have had experiences working on teams with others, even if it weren't a job. It could have been that you volunteered, or whatever the case may be, or you took care of children, after school, their school hours, whatever it is, there are interpersonal skills, there are organizational skills, there are leadership skills based on experiences. They're also looking for emotional intelligence. So people that understand right from wrong, how to articulate their own vulnerabilities as well as advance others. So it's really going to be a question of storytelling. Now, I have to, admit that there are some companies out there that are traditionally going to just screen you out because you don't have a 4-year degree, but there are just as many that are looking at you because you come from a non-traditional background. Especially now in the past 5 years, I've noticed that many companies are leaning towards the whole diversity, which is wanting a different perspective. They have apprenticeships and internships just for people with non-traditional backgrounds that others that have a 40-year degree can't even apply to, like Asana Up, Twitter apprenticeship. There are so many that I could mention, and that people have gotten jobs at. So it's really the ability, as Paul said, how you're going to articulate your past accomplishments, how that's going to translate into an engineering workplace. And it's usually the soft skills. It's nothing to do with the technical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to elaborate on that as well, App Academy will prepare you for what you need in the job search, right? Or in the job market. These companies are very familiar with who App Academy is. These coding boot camps are more popular than ever. You are getting the credentials. They know you just went through 4 months putting in 15 hours a day. So you don't have to sell yourself. They know that you put in the work. They know that you put in the time, and that's what you're bringing to their team. So don't ever undersell yourself just because you have a non-technical background or you didn't, go to school for 4 years. You put in that work. You put in, I don't know, what is it, 500 hours? I think they put on the resumes when you finish. So they know you're a self-starter. They know you can handle anything, and that's what they're looking for on their team.
Awesome.
You gotta work. You gotta put in the work.
Absolutely. No work, no pay.
All right. And one last question here, Anne-Marie, for folks who are a little bit older, have you seen folks at 40 and above either come into coding boot camps or even being successful in job applications after the completion of the course?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In terms of admissions, we are also looking for people in the older demographic, which what I represent, I think the oldest person at the company. Yeah, I think I am now the oldest person at the company. So I do get it. Ageism is out there. There is an implicit bias. But again, there are programs and companies that don't care at all, as long as you can do the work. And remember that we're making lemonade out of lemons. So yes, we're used to all these young techies in their early 20s coming in and taking over the world, but they don't have the emotional intelligence, the professional intelligence, the experience to understand, the political atmosphere of a company that you have already navigated, right? That you've already been there. So your stress levels are going to be a lot less. You're going to be able to handle a lot of ambiguity. A lot of companies are looking for that. So just like not having a 4-year degree, that whole idea of, oh, am I too old for this profession? Absolutely not. No, do it.
All right. Well, I mean, that is it for us. That is it for me. Those are my last questions. Any last words before we jump off?
I think we covered just about anything. If if you want to change your career, if you want to change your life, if you want a better salary, if you want more purpose in what you're doing, App Academy is absolutely the answer to that. But it's not to be taken lightly. It's not something that you're going to spend a few hours on and you're going to do it in your dreams. This is real hard work. It is undoubtedly the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But the fulfillment that I got from completing this course, graduating, and getting a job is unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I can say that going to App Academy and graduating is undoubtedly the proudest moment of my life. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're trying to make that change, then this is for you.
Wow. I don't think I can top that. Ditto. Yeah. I love that Paul is a representation of App Academy and all of the challenges that initially would have tripped up a lot of other people. Like you said, to 2 years ago, I'm working in construction. If somebody said I would be, working at MuleSoft, I would have laughed. Well, now,
Hilarious.
Now you can laugh at them.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you for joining us and giving really insightful information to the individuals who are out there who want to change their career, who are looking to change their life. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to all of the folks who attended today for coming in and asking some good questions and just being here to listen. This will be a recording, so you can reach out to, if you have an admissions specialist, if you've already applied, you can reach out to them in order to get a recording of this if you missed it. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a really good rest of your Thursday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good luck,
Likewise.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you. Good
luck.
luck.
Good luck.